Okay, welcome to lesson 3 of our fairy tales unit. The learning objective today is to explore the point of view of a fairy tale. So, to be successful today, you'll be able to answer these. I know what the point of view is, I can find the point of view of a story, or I can work out the point of view of a story, and I can show how a story might be different from another point of view, or from the point of view of a different character. So far on Monday we retold the story of the Princess and the Pea, and you got very familiar with that story. And then we have found the features of most fairy tales. So we had a look at all those different fairy tales, and you showed me what most fairy tales should have to make them a successful fairy tale. So what I'm going to start this lesson with is to read you a new story, and it's called The Pea and the Princess. Can you notice the difference of that title? And I really enjoyed this story, so hopefully you will too. While I'm reading it, I want you to think about what are the similarities and differences between the Princess and the Pea and the Pea and the Princess. Okay, so here's the story of The Pea and the Pea and the Princess by Minnie Gray, and on the back here it says, "From Pod to Palace, the real story of the Princess and the Pea." So, Minnie Gray is saying that this is the real story of the Princess and the Pea. So it's the Pea and the Princess. Okay, got a nice picture to start us off there. Okay, the Pea and the Princess. Many years ago, I was born in the palace allotment. Among rows of carrot and beetroot and cabbage, I nestled snugly in a velvety pod with my brothers and sisters. I felt a tingle. I knew that somehow I would be important. The time came for us to go to the palace kitchen. We were shelled and put in a bowl. We were going to be part of a new recipe. Then, suddenly, I was picked from the pile. I was put in a little box with soft tissue to protect me from bruising, and I was taken by the Queen. And there you can see the box and the recipe. At this point in the story, I'm going to have to give you some background information. Let's start with the Queen. A year earlier, before I even grew on my pea plant, the Queen had been nagging her son. "You are nearly 34 years old, Prince," she said. "It really is high time you married. The public expect it. Your kingdom demands it. And if you are not married within 1 year, I shall stop your pocket money." She doesn't look very happy, that Queen. The prince got quite a lot of pocket money, and he really didn't want to be taken away. "I'll start looking for a bride immediately, mother," he answered, and the search began. The prince travelled the known world. He met princesses all shapes and sizes, with a wide range of hobbies and interests. None of them seemed really right somehow. And you've got here, too loud, too quiet, too funny, too grumpy, too sleepy, too energetic, too scruffy, too tidy, too pink, too scary, strange pets. After a year's search, Prince returned home feeling glum. "Right, that's it," shouted the Queen. She stormed off to the palace kitchen. She came back with me in my little box. "Now," said the Queen, "listen carefully. This is something only queens know. A real princess will be able to feel this little pea as she sleeps, even if she is sleeping on top of 20 mattresses and feather beds, and you are going to marry the first girl who can feel this pea." Months passed. I spent most nights in the darkness under a pile of 20 mattresses and feather beds and a princess. We've got a newspaper there, the Globe, and it says, "Wanted, real princess." In the morning, each princess would be asked, "How did you sleep, my dear?" by the Queen. The princesses had been properly brought up. They always answered politely, "Like a log, thank you, ma'am," or "Like a baby, thank you, ma'am." And they all said, "What a comfortable bed." They were, as I said, all very polite princesses. The prince will never find his princess at this rate, I thought to myself. I must help somehow. One night a furious storm raged. Rain lashed the palace. Thunderclaps shook the walls. And lightning flashed through the window panes. There was a little knock on the palace door. A small wet person stood on the doormat. "Could this be the real princess?" gasped the Queen. Before she could say a word, the small wet person was put to bed on top of 20 mattresses and feather beds, with me, of course, underneath. In the darkness under the mattresses, I recognised the soft snoring. I must help, I thought. I tried jiggling and wriggling. The snoring carried on quietly. I must do something, I thought desperately. I inched my way to the edge, and then I started to climb. Slowly, I struggled to the top of the towering pile. I softly rolled across the pillow, right to the girl's ear. "There is something large and round and very uncomfortable in the bed under you," I whispered. And while she slept, I told her about the large, round, uncomfortable thing for 3 hours. There you can see the P whispering in the princess's ear. In the morning, the Queen asked the girl how she slept. "Oh, it was awful," she sighed. "Something large and round and uncomfortable was bothering me all night." The wedding... Oh. The wedding was very grand. The Queen was interested to meet the new princess's family. I'm sure they will all live very happily together. And as for me, I became a very important artifact, and now I have my own glass case. I am on display, and if you visit the right museum and look in the right place, you may chance to see me. And that's the end of the Princess and the Pea and the Princess. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to write the similarities and the differences between the Pea and the Princess and the Princess and the Pea. Good luck. So that story was obviously from a different point of view. It was from the Pea's point of view. So what do you think what is the point of view of a story? What is the point of view? Have a pause now and have a think. Well, The Princess and the Pea was from the point of view of the princess. So it was written about all the things that happened to the princess. But The Pea and the Princess was written from the point of view of the pea. So the point of view is the opinion of the main character, or the point of view of the main person that the story is about. So if we look at the story map that we looked at on Monday's lesson, the Princess and the Pea, what I'd like you to do now is have a think about, maybe you can pause the video here and have a think, how would this story map change if we were talking about the Pea and the Princess rather than the Princess and the Pea? What things might stay the same, but also what things might you add or change for the Pea and the Princess? So I will pause the video now. Okay, your task today is to change the point of view of some fairy tales. So on the task sheets, I've given you some examples. So I've already read to you The Princess and the Pea, and the Pea and the Princess. But I also read on yesterday Cinderella. So maybe you could change the point of view of the story of Cinderella to maybe one of the ugly sisters, or maybe to the stepsisters, or maybe to the glass slipper, which might be a bit random, or maybe you could change the three little pigs to the point of view of the wolf. Okay, so I'm going to give you two or three. I'll give you three fairy tales that you could change the point of view of, and I'll leave some blanks so you can think of your own stories that you might like to change the point of view. Now I want you to think about how the story map might look, and maybe some of the things that might happen, and how, because this is going to form maybe one of these might be the story that you write next week, that we start to plan next week. So if you do a really good job of this, then you can use it for your lesson next Monday. So have a look at the task sheet now, and you'll have Cinderella and the Three Little Pigs and one other fairy tale to explore, or you could do your very own. Good luck!